Hello, I'm Leanne from Oregon City Public Library. Today I get to read you a story called Goldilocks and the Three Bears. The version I'm going to read to you today was written in 1913 by an American author whose name was Clifton Johnson. But originally it was written in 1837 by an English poet. His name was Robert Southey. Once upon a time there were three bears who lived in a house of their own in a wood. One of them was a big bear, and one was a middle-sized bear, and the other was a little bear. They each had a bowl for their porridge. A bowl for the big bear, a middle-sized bowl for the middle-sized bear, and a little bowl for the little bear. And they each had a chair to sit in, a big chair for the big bear, a middle-sized chair for the middle-sized bear, and a little chair for the little bear. Besides, they had a bed to sleep in, a big bed for the big bear, a middle-sized bed for the middle-sized bear, and a little bed for the little bear. On the borders of the wood lived a little girl named Goldilocks, and she liked to walk in the wood to pick the pretty flowers that grew there. Usually, she would not go far from home after the flowers, but one warm, pleasant day she rambled on, picking blossoms here and there until she was much deeper in the wood than she had ever been before. "Now I must go back," Goldilocks said at last. "I didn't intend to come such a long way, and I'm tired and hungry." Just then she looked on up ahead into the lonely hollow into which she had wandered. And there among the trees was a nice little house as she had ever seen. "I didn't know that anyone lived here in the wood," Goldilocks said. "I will go and find out whose house this is." So she went to the door and rapped. But she got no response. "Well, the people that live here can't be far away, for there's smoke coming out of the chimney. I think I will step in if the door isn't locked." She lifted the latch and the door was not locked, and she went in and she looked about. At one side of the room she had entered was a fireplace in which a log and some smaller sticks were smoldering. On a table there were 3 bowls of porridge, a big bowl, a middle-sized bowl, and a little bowl. "The people who live in this house have set the table for dinner, I think," Goldilocks said. "If they were here, I'm sure they would invite me to eat with them. Oh, how hungry I am. I wonder if they would care if I ate some of their porridge without waiting till they come. I will taste it anyway." She went to the table and took a spoonful of porridge from the big bowl. "Oh, this is too hot. I will try the next." Then she took a spoonful of porridge from the middle-sized bowl. "This is too cold," she said. Then she took a spoonful of porridge from the little bowl, and that was neither too hot nor too cold, but was just right, and she ate it all up. "Now I must sit down to rest for a while," Goldilocks said. Along the wall were 3 chairs, a big chair, a middle-sized chair, and a little chair. She tried the big chair, but it was too hard for her. "Dear me, this chair won't do at all. I will try the next." Then she sat down in the middle-sized chair, and that was too soft for her. So she tried the little chair, and that was neither too hard nor too soft, but was just right. She had settled herself down to enjoy a good rest when, crack, smack, the chair broke, and Goldilocks tumbled to the floor. "That was a nice little chair," she said as she picked herself up. "I'm sorry it's broken. How am I to rest now? I don't like the other chairs. Perhaps I had better lie down and have a nap. I must see where the beds are." There was another room adjoining the one in which Goldilocks had eaten the little bowl of porridge and broken the little chair. She went into it and found 3 beds, a big bed, a middle-sized bed, and a little bed. "I'm all right now," Goldilocks said, and she tried the largest bed, but it was too high at the head for her. Then she tried the middle-sized bed, and that was too high at the foot for her. Lastly, she tried the little bed, and that was neither too high at the head nor too high at the foot, but it was just right. She lay down on it and covered herself up and fell fast asleep. Meanwhile, where were the three bears? Shortly before Goldilocks rambled into the glen where they lived, they had cooked their porridge for dinner and set it on the table. Then they had gone out for a little walk to give the porridge time to cool. Goldilocks was asleep when the bears came home. As soon as they entered the kitchen and looked at the table, they saw that things were not as they had left them.
"Somebody has been tasting my porridge,"
the big bear growled in his great gruff voice. "And somebody has been tasting my porridge," the middle-sized bear said. "And somebody has been tasting my porridge and eaten it all up," the little bear piped. "We will look around," they said, "and see if there has been any more meddling."
"Somebody has been sitting in my chair,"
the big bear growled in his great gruff voice. "And somebody has been sitting in my chair," the middle-sized bear said. "And somebody has been sitting in my chair and broken it to pieces," the little bear piped. Then they went into their bedroom.
"Somebody has been lying on my bed,"
the big bear growled in his great gruff voice. "And somebody has been lying on my bed," the middle-sized bear said. "And somebody has been lying on my bed, and here she is," the little bear piped. The voice of the little bear was so sharp and shrill it awakened Goldilocks at once. She sat bolt upright and stared at the three bears, and they stared at her. They were standing in a row on one side of the bed, and Goldilocks tumbled herself out on the other side before they could catch her. Luckily, the window was open, and she leapt out. Then she ran home as fast as she could go, and she never again went near the place where the three bears lived. I hope you enjoyed Goldilocks and the Three Bears as much as I did. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you come back next week for the next story.